there are some unspoken truths about watch company service. What I mean by this is that there are some things that come into play that some are surprised post-sales of the watch when you have the watch in your possession. These are going to be things like servicing, help with the watch, what to expect when you have a situation that arises when you have the watch in your hand after you've purchased the watch from the brand. In this video, I'm going to be covering these things and also a little bit about what you can do or maybe what you can expect from these brands and also from your watch post-sales. Now, this isn't going to cover every brand. Some brands handle things a little bit different, and certain times of year, it can be quite different just depending on the demand for the attention of the people working at these brands. But before we jump into it, guys, please do not forget to check out chronograbs.com, my new watch marketplace where you can buy and sell watches at 0% commissions and 0 listing fees. There's so many cool watches listed there from private parties as well as trusted dealers. You can go to the instant checkout section, and we have a partnership with a couple of very well established and trusted dealers that I've done a lot of business with, and they've agreed to post their watches at lower on this platform than their website in exchange for the 0 listing fees. So make sure to check out chronograbs.com. You can also sign up for a free account, and you want to get in now because the platform is building. People are trading watches, and at some point there may have to be a cost, but I'm trying to keep this as free for as long as possible just to help out there in the watch community and provide an alternative to the big guys. chronograbs.com. So let's jump into it, guys. This video is really inspired by a lot of social media posts that I've been seeing online on Instagram, TikTok, and even Reddit about some owners of some watches that just don't think they're being treated the way that they were expecting to be treated after they've purchased the watch. Particularly the company in mind here that this content was about is Christopher Ward, but myself, I personally do not have any experience dealing with the brand directly, so I won't say that any of these comments in the video is about them, but more so just things that I generally see from brands. So I'm not trying to single anyone out specifically here, but that is what's inspired. So kind of the first thing that I've been seeing is that people say it just takes too long to hear back from the brand. Now, if you submit an inquiry on a brand's website and you just go to their web form, to a general inbox, some contact form to contact a brand, you may not really get the response you're looking for. You may get an AI bot, you may get someone that doesn't know watches, you may just kind of get a general inquiry response of someone saying, hey, yeah, these are the models, check them out online, buy them, blah, blah, blah. And so it's always best to go to their specific page, such as their after-sales service department or their repair department or customer service, something like that. Or if there's a phone number perhaps on an email that you checked out with, it's always better to try to get a direct communication just because of the amount of questions some of these brands get. Many collectors feel that, they're kind of being lost in the shuffle. So you do need to keep in mind, you probably need to find the most appropriate avenue to contact them. But this is kind of a growing thought out there in the community is during the marketing process of the watch brand, they kind of bought into the kind of, this happens with micro brands a lot. They kind of bought into this idea that they were going to receive some kind of luxury experience after the sale of the watch. Now, if anyone out there has ever purchased, at least some type of luxury vehicle, I'm not talking anything crazy here, but, even something as simple as, a 3 Series, right? You go to the BMW dealership and they're all, everything's really fancy. They give you the water, maybe some champagne, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. They give you some free swag, a hat, a shirt. And then when it comes time for that service, you have an issue with your air conditioning. Well, you go back and maybe the service isn't what you expected. Even myself, I have a Land Rover because I drove it up all these mountains and things in Utah and Colorado last summer and went on all these adventures. It's really the reason that I got it. But eventually you do need service. And I'll tell you, even myself, I see it across the board in luxury products. They become inundated and swamped with just service and repairs. You have to keep in mind that watch brands keep making more watches. They need to sell watches in order to stay in business. That's the idea behind a watch brand. And with that comes more watches that need to be serviced or customer service pertaining to the ownership of those watches out there in the market. And so it can really not be too cost effective for a brand just to have, 100 customer service reps, although at times, at peak times, maybe they need it. It could take some time to catch up, or maybe they won't invest in it. And so that's something that unfortunately you really need to just expect out there, is there's going to be required of you as an owner of a watch just to take it upon yourself to maintain the watch, to get service, do the research online, watch these videos. Some people have questions on maybe how to use perpetual calendars or annual calendars or tourbillons or things like that. And these things can be found with any of the AI, chatbots out there, the Chat GPTs, the Googles. It would be nice to call someone and have them kind of handhold you through this process. But the reality is there's so many people that own their watches or are thinking about it in existence, they just can't staff it with enough financial padding to, make it not a major loss for the company. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now, this doesn't really matter if it's a high-end brand or a more entry-level brand. This is something I've seen become a lot more popular just as there's more watches, as there's more watch collectors. Now, when it comes to servicing the watch, this is usually where collectors really didn't know they were signing up for the time frame that is required now, right? If you send your watch into service, now I'm not talking about any specific brand, but generally what I hear from other collectors is that they'll send the watch in for even just a simple service or a repair, something like tightening a rotor, and it can take 6 to 12 months. Now, during parts of COVID, we saw this be even longer for so many different reasons. We don't have to, get all into it there because it's besides the point. But there is also a shortage of watchmakers. As there's more brands, as there's more watches, there's not more watchmakers. It's kind of my conjecture I've came up with over the years that the type of person that would probably want to become a watchmaker or a watch repair person, more of a technical, hands-on kind of ingenuitive person, they're maybe more drawn to tech. They're maybe more drawn to developing apps or something of the sort, something more digital as opposed to the physical, which in an increasingly digital world would kind of make sense if someone was looking for career stability, although watchmakers have great career stability because they can kind of jump around and sometimes name their price. But the reality is you have to keep in mind that there are considerable delays from a lot of brands when it comes to servicing and repairs. And I will add a little bit here by saying that some people even believe that the types of repairs that are higher ticket amounts, the types of repairs that maybe have some padding in there for profit, are maybe prioritized to reflect that on the books sooner than just a simple overhaul, which is very unlikely, in my opinion, to kind of yield any kind of profit for most brands. Now, when it comes to the servicing, something to keep in mind is a lot of servicing that I see personally and have seen over the years is a result of some type of physical damage. Now, it can be a drop or a bang or a dent or a ding. You get the idea. And a lot of the marketing suggests, hey, you can beat these watches up. They're rugged, they're durable, take them to the bottom of the ocean, take them to outer space, whatever. It's good, it can do it. But a lot of these things can lead to incidents that may void the warranty. Most brands out there just do not cover damages that arise or stem from any kind of impact, right? It's if you drive your car into another car, well, that's not going to be covered by the manufacturer warranty. And so if there's any kind of substantial ding or dent in the watch, I have heard of some brands out there actually try to not repair the watch under warranty. Now, the thing that I'll first advise here is that it's probably prudent and reasonable to just assume that the after-sales service of the watch is probably not going to be the same experience as perhaps you received in the boutique. It's unfortunate. It's idealistic to want that kind of a thing, right? Sounds great. I'm with you. But they're just so backed up and there's so many watches. I think from a reasonable standpoint, it's something you just need to consider when buying a watch. But also another recommendation that I would give is to find a reliable and good watchmaker that comes either based on suggestion from a friend or fellow collector, or they have wonderful reviews online, because you can save yourself a lot of headache. And that's the business that that person is in, right? A watch repair shop is in the business of doing repairs for you. So they are incentivized to get that repair going, to finish it and keep you happy. Now, a brand doesn't want negative, press or feedback, but at the end of the day, their kind of main goal is to sell more watches. And so, at least in my opinion, I recommend that you search and hunt for a local watchmaker that can handle short repairs, or quick repairs as they're called. They're not going to refinish your watch and kind of go overboard because they care about the prestige of, how that watch looks on the wrist out there and the public perception in the market. But to find someone that's been doing it a long time, that has great reviews, that can be there for you in a time of need, and maybe you don't have to wait 6 months, 12 months. You can still feel free to get quotes or talk to the brand in question for which you need a help with or repair, but at least you're not kind of forced into going to that brand. Now, I will also say it can be difficult to get parts for some types of watches or case parts, but for the most part, if we're talking small repairs or even getting a new crystal cut, there are plenty of options out there for you to at least take into account, to put into your back pocket, if not to rely on for your watch collecting after sales service experience. So guys, this has been the unspoken truth about after sales service from watch brands. Once again, it differs. I'm not singling anyone out. This is not specifically about Christopher Ward. I haven't dealt with them, but generally I see this increasing as there's more collectors out there, as well as there's more watches out there that need to be handled, with more people and more people interested in watches. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, please do not forget to check out chronograbs.com. Right now, we're 0% commissions and 0 listing fees. You can sign up for a free account and also sell your watches there. We'll see you next time. You've been chatting with John P.